Okay, what I noticed was after I installed the fuel pump that when I cycled the key down inside the tank, I heard a pop, and then I heard what sounded like a squeaking noise. And then the bike, it would start, but then it would die. And then from then on, when I tried to start it, it would act like it wanted to start, but it never would. So what I'm going to do is, what I think it is the fuel pump. I don't know if you can hear it, but there's a definite squeaking noise. I'll turn it back off and then I'll turn it back on. In order to pull the pump on the 1190, basically what you do is shut off the right hand side fuel, the crossover tube, then disconnect it right there from the petcock right here. Hook a tube to the petcock on the left hand side, open it all the way up and drain the fuel. Now as you look up in here, there's 4 bolts, 1, 2, 3, 4 here that you have to take off in order to drop the pump. In order to get the pump started, you have to wedge a little flat tip screwdriver in there and just get it started. You have to disconnect the electrical connection, then you have to disconnect the fuel injection fuel tube right here. The screws out of it.
And you can't find them?
No, that's later when I go to put it back together that I won't be able to find the screws. After you remove the screws out of it and you've drained all the fuel, there's a little teeny bit of residual there's a little bit of residual fuel that drips out. It's really not that big a deal. Just set a rag and what's happening, there's an O-ring up in there that it's actually a squish ring that when you tighten it up and it sucks it up into the tank, the O-ring compresses and it seals it off. That's the whole premise of it. Now, you know, once again, I hear guys talk about you have to remove the tank. Well, go ahead if that's the way you want to do it, but I don't. So on this right here, all I do with the bash plate is, of course, I loosen the bolts here, and then I have to push down on the bash plate and then kind of wiggle the pump out. There's the proof. You don't have to do that, but once again, you do as you see fit. That's what's causing it to flex and do that. Now I heard a pop, but I'm going to have to disassemble it to kind of see what that pop is. But a pop is usually some sort of pressure related issue. But I will have to you know, disassemble it, which I will. Little metal tangs right there. Oop. You just pry just a little bit, not too much. And then another thing that it's hard to see, but there's a little indent here, right there, and right over on the other side. And what it is there's these 2 little plastic tabs that stick out that when you push the filter cup into it, they actually snap into those little blocks right there. So all you do, of course, you gotta loosen the tab just a little bit. Okay, that one's loosed. Pry that one to get loose, and then you just kind of wiggle it. And there we go. As you see, there's fuel inside it, which is going to make the wife happy. And let me get the fuel away from a damn good camera and such, while the boy fetches me up some more paper towels. That's the new filter that I actually installed. Let me get this mess picked up. you're going to work on your own stuff, you are going to generate some mess. So anyway, the squeaking that I was talking about, you see this cup? This cup right here is what mashes back down into this right here. And for whatever reason, I suspect that that these two pieces together are flexing, and what I'm hearing is this O-ring mashing against the side of this flexing, which I'll have to, further take apart in order to figure it out. Now, the cup, this piece right here, is actually just kind of wedged on there in between these two contacts. And there we go. And what you have here is this fuel tube right here goes right there. This goes up in there. This tube that comes right there actually feeds into that right there. And then the other one is the clean fuel that is forced down, and that's what your fuel injectors line picks up. So now to figure out what the deal is, and there it is, right there. Jeremiah, give me one of those little flashlights, please. And there it is, right there. I don't know if you can see it. You see the cup? Right there. So what's happening is the filter, the cup is in here like this. It pressurizes and it puts pressure on this right here, which causes this to flex because this is cracked. And it causes this other one to move, and as it moves, this O-ring is what we're hearing the squeaking coming from. Now, of course, I blow on the filter, and it's real hard to blow through. I don't know, but all I know is this one is definitely harder to blow through than than even the dirty one that I just took out. When it pressurizes in here like so, when it pressurizes it and it's snapped all together like so, and there's these little tabs that lock down in there. When it pressurizes it, because it's having to exert more pressure, it forces this, and the O-ring that's around is causing it to squeak. And because of such, it's not sealing. When it flexes it out, it's not sealing, and so fuel is escaping around it from right here. And since fuel is escaping, it's not able to pressurize the fuel injection line the way it should be and feed fuel to the fuel injectors for the bike to run. Or this is what I think. Either way, anyway, I'm going to have to come up with a fix, because KTM does not sell this part right here by itself. You have to buy this part complete with the pump in one assembly. Now they sell the O-rings and different crap, which, I wouldn't even buy the O-rings from them. You can get the O-rings you need in a kit. And a new pump is like $500. That's crazy. So this right here. So I'm gonna have to figure out a way to fix this in order to make it serviceable to where it doesn't flex. Okay, what I'm going to try to do, of course, is I was sitting here thinking, how could I, make this serviceable and fix that right there to where it doesn't flex. Well, thought about different things. Super glue wouldn't work because gasoline will ultimately dissolve super glue. Various epoxies possibly could work, something like a Permatex that they use to repair plastic fuel tanks, but I just don't think. Now, so here's what I came up with that I'm going to try to do first. Is I don't have what's called a plastic welder, but what I do have is a soldering iron, which I'm going to use right along the crack, both inside and outside, to see if I can get that to sort of mend that crack. And then once I get it mended and stuff, I'll use something to try to reinforce it. I'll have to look at that, but the very first thing is, what can I do about the crack? Well, believe it or not, that actually worked pretty well. Now, I don't think it's going to be anywhere structurally as strong as the, like an uncracked piece, but it did, melt the edges and such together, which what that's going to do for me is, once I get it back together, then it'll give me a starting point to see what else I can do. But that's a start. Okay, here's what I came up with. I took and put a hose clamp right around the side metal clips that lock it on, because with the clamp over the edges of the clip and crank down, it should prevent the pressure in the cracked piece that I put kind of a repair on from flexing at all. I think that I don't really think there's going to be any issue with the clamp going into the tank and such. At least I couldn't see that there'd be any issue whatsoever. So really the only thing to do is put it in, hook it up, and see what happens. I think it's going to work. My point is, of course, I took this video and I took a lot of photos, and I'll submit it to KTM to see, but I'd probably they're going to say hell no, since I'm using an aftermarket fuel filter on it, which I'm not saying that's what it is, but there's definitely a noticeable difference in the resistance, when you blow through it, and that is saturated with fuel. For all I know, on this part right here, I thought I was pretty careful taking it all apart, because it's pretty simple. But so I don't see how I would have cracked that little piece, especially given how this all comes apart and goes together. But we'll see what happens. But all I know is I'm not spending $500-600 on the whole assembly, because KTM does not sell this piece individually. You have to buy the whole pump kit, which is crazy. I guess I could try to find a used one, but I'll be honest, if this works, then so be it. That's what I'll use. It is what it is. Okay, moment of truth. Sounds good. Didn't hear the squeaking like it sounded like earlier. Well, it works. Like I said, I have no idea as to what caused it. Is it just the filter cup? Had a weak spot? Was it me that damaged it a little bit? Was it the new filter is just a little bit smaller micron, which created a little more pressure inside the cup that caused a weak spot in the plastic? I have no idea, but the thing is the bike runs, and I didn't spend $600 on a new fuel pump assembly. All right.